Good afternoon. It occurred to me today that, it's kind of an abstract concept, leaky gut. And so I just wanted to explain a little bit because I think it helps to kind of clarify why why it's so important and why we're doing what we're doing. So with leaky gut, so what happens when we consume chemicals and things? Sorry about my dogs, I don't know what's going on in there. But when we consume things that we shouldn't, that our body isn't familiar with, or even sometimes it's gluten, if you're gluten intolerant, but you're consuming gluten, and then dairy also inflames your intestines. And so all of those things combined do something to our intestines where our villi, so if you're not familiar with our intestinal tract, we have all of these tiny little fibrous hairs that stick out on the sides of our intestines and filter through our food. And those villi are responsible for our uptake of our nutrients and our vitamins. So when we have, when we're going through some gut issues, if those villi are over time subjected to these chemicals, they gradually start getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and so they're not able to do their job as well. So we literally start like eating away at those super important villi in our intestines. And so over time, if we get to the point where those get so small and fragile, we can actually cause little tiny tears on our intestinal wall. And when these tears happen, that's called leaky gut, because what that does is the purpose of our intestinal wall is to keep our food separated from our bloodstream. So we're supposed to uptake some of the nutrients and vitamins. Those get put into our bloodstream through these villi. But when you have leaky gut, you're no longer able to contain the food that you're eating within your intestinal wall, and you have some of that leaking out into your bloodstream. And so we're not able, at that point, we're not filtering the way that we should, and things, foreign types of chemicals are getting into our bloodstream that our body's not familiar with. So when this happens, the majority of the food that the American diet consists of is highly processed and has a lot of chemicals in it that we're not supposed to be ingesting. So these chemicals can, like I said, erode these villi, erode the lining of our intestines. But when they get into our bloodstream, our body starts having a response to them. And it's the same exact response that we would have in an allergy. So it's an allergic reaction. Our body's trying to protect ourselves from these foreign chemicals that are not normal to our bodies. And our blood cells literally start, or our immune system, I should just simplify and say our immune system actually starts trying to protect us by attacking a specific part of our body, whether it's an organ or a set of arteries or our muscles, or there's just anything in our body can be affected by this. And so that's why there's so many different types of autoimmune diseases, because it really just depends on your body and the chemicals that you're ingesting, and then how your body responds to those. So a lot of the times we see, so our skin is our biggest organ on our body. So our skin is so super important to our health. And so when you start seeing things in your skin, it's a really telltale sign that there's something internally going on. Whether it's adult acne that comes on unexpectedly, or psoriasis or eczema or any of the skin issues. A lot of times, so I had a bad breakout around Halloween a few years ago on my face, and my whole face broke out, and I didn't understand what was going on, and I had to do a gut repair I did it for about 20 days, 23 weeks about, and it completely cleared my skin up, and I had no more issues with that. And then my husband has psoriasis, and he's gluten intolerant. So if he starts having gluten or dairy, his psoriasis starts coming back. And both of my children have eczema. Actually, all three of our children, one of them's out of the house now, but the two that are left here, all have eczema. And if they are eating gluten, consistently for a few days, it starts getting really bad, and you can, like to the point where like my son, his head flakes so much that it's just, you wouldn't even believe it. His whole hair gets covered in just flaky skin and stuff. So that's skin issues, but it also, we're talking about rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, any autoimmune disease. So alopecia, there's so many of them. And a lot of them, if you can just spend some time healing your gut, I'm not going to lie, it took Tim about 6 to 8 months of doing this diet in order to heal his gut completely. But within about 3 days, we could see his psoriasis going away. So that's one thing that's kind of beneficial to having a skin problem that is, that you can sort of calculate by looking at how much progress you're having. But if you have something that's internal, that you're having symptoms, where you're just kind of discomfort, you're not comfortable, you have some discomfort, sometimes it's harder to tell that your gut is healing, and so it takes a little bit longer. And that's why the gut program that I do is 14 days, but you're able to use that gut program for as long as you need to and as many times throughout your life as you need to. So you can take the 14-day diet, extend that out for longer, whether you want to do a 30-day or a 60-day or a 90-day, you can do that. If that's necessary. So if you start having if you're doing a 14-day and you start having some sort of relief in that time, but all of your symptoms haven't gone away, I highly recommend that you tune into your body and go as long as you need to so that you get healed, because until you can clear out all of the leaky gut stuff, which means you have to let your intestines heal long enough to heal up all of those cracks and start growing the villi back. Once you do that, then you are uptaking your vitamins and nutrients like you're supposed to. So there's a lot more to it than just, eating some crappy food and it makes your gut leak, and then you spend a couple days healing it and then you're okay. The damage itself took a lot of time, and the repairing and healing also takes a lot of time. So just be patient with that and understand that, sometimes you can't always see all the good that's coming from what you're doing quickly. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer time to do that. So, all right, well, I just wanted to leave you guys with that today, and just sort of, I think that it helps to know a little bit of the science that's going on within our bodies and some of the, biochemistry, physiology stuff that is happening, and why we have to do this, why we have to repair ourselves occasionally, or it's of course always best to just abstain from the processed chemicals and stuff as much as possible. So, all right. So you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.